Come on, Shane. That feels awesome, man. All right, y'all. We're gonna get situated here. We'll probably start in the next couple minutes. I have. I'll join you. I don't know what part. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to today's Jazz Reading Band. I know it's a busy day for everyone, and thanks for making it out. We have Professor Shungu here today, so how a round of applause for him. And he's going to start with just a little kind of demonstration, introduction, all that. So here we go. Take it away.
Yeah, we're going to warm up, and you're going to transform back to high school. So you're all high school students today, all right? So you can give me your best, whatever you like. And I'm also going to pretend that I'm leading you off for the first time. So we're going to kind of think about how to build, community as we also dive into music. So, good morning. How you all doing? Great. Very good. Okay, excellent. So I am Mr. Shungu, and today we are going to play some music. But first, we're going to talk a little bit together, And what I want to do first is a quick activity. It's called raise your hand. So if the statement applies to you, I just want you to raise your hand or your instrument if that's easy, whatever is easier. If you're holding your instrument, it's easier to hold your trumpet in the air. You can do that or just raise your hands. All right. So the first statement is raise your hand if you were born in a month that starts with M. Anyone here born in a month that starts with M? All right. What month we got?
March.
May. Okay, so March and some May. Very good. Raise your hand if you were born in a month that starts with J. All right, what month we got? January. July. All right, good. And I'm January as well. So we got January and July represented. Very cool. Raise your hand if you were born in a month that starts with O. You were born in a month that starts with O? What day? The 4th. All right, so happy belated birthday. Haley, all right, great to meet you, Haley. Happy belated birthday. Yeah, absolutely. All right, raise your hand if you play any sports. What sport? Rugby. All right, I'm a soccer player myself, so many of us may have multiple identities, but if I had to choose, I'd take music over sports. Yep, I see a lot of nods. Yep, that's why I'm here, right? So raise your hand if you speak or know any languages other than English. All right, what languages? Spanish. All right. Who else? Yes. Spanish. All right. And what about the language known as music? Anyone speak or know the language known as music, right? There we go. So very cool. Hablo español también, entonces hablo español. Es un idioma muy importante para mí. So I said I speak Spanish as well. Spanish is a very important language for me. But music really is a language, and there are different ways that we can learn that language as well. All right, next one. Raise your hand if your favorite style of music to listen to is jazz. Anyone? Okay. All right. What other styles we got? What's someone else's favorite style of music? R&B. All right. What's your name? Carlos. Okay. Who else? Other style? Favorite style? Funk. Okay. Very good. What's your name? Shane. All right. Excellent. Very good. I would say that for me, I can't really pick one. Right. I love jazz. I also love hip hop. I love R&B, soul, so there's really a variety of styles that I love. But raise your hands if you've ever improvised before. All right. Okay, just about everyone, right? Very cool, very cool. We're going to talk a little bit about improvisation. Raise your hand if you like to be the center of attention.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, you got at least one in every group, right? Raise your hand if you like to play the background. Some people are probably somewhere in the middle, right? So I see a couple of people who like to play the backgrounds. When we think about something like improvisation, our natural personalities can come out in that, right? If you're someone who likes to be the center of attention, then maybe that's something that will come naturally. I'm someone who tends to like to play the background, believe it or not, right? But improvisation is something that has helped me be more comfortable as the center of attention. Raise your hand if you've ever been part of a group where you felt like you didn't belong. Okay. So I want to kick things off by saying these 3 words. You belong here, right? We all have differences. Some of us speak different languages. Some of us, we play different instruments, right? We also maybe like different styles of music. There may be other things. You might have played in groups where you were the only person of a particular racial group, or maybe you were the only woman in that particular group, right? But you all belong here, regardless of your background, right? So what I want to do now, we're going to talk a little bit about improvisation, but you're all going to play as well. So I'm going to pass these section by section real quick. Some food for thought, and then we're going to dive into some playing, because I know some of you are itching to pick up that instrument and start playing, right? So we're going to dive into that. Let me see. We got 3 back here. Excellent. And here we go. Through here. There we go. We pass those around. Make sure our rhythm section has these sheets. All right. So I just want to talk a little bit about improvisation, and then we're going to dive in and just kind of have a little bit of fun with it. So first quote I have right here is improvisation comes from the head, and it also comes from the heart, right? So when we think about improvisation, right, this quote connects to this second quote from Charlie Parker. Can I actually have one of you read the second quote for us real quick? Any volunteers? All right, thank you. What's your name?
Jeff.
Jeff. Okay, thank you, Jeff.
try out different forms of improvisation, freestyle rapping, sets, singing, and help train your brain to be spontaneous in different settings.
Okay, so you actually jumped ahead. I was gonna go for that Charlie Parker quote, but I'm actually glad that you jumped ahead because we're gonna go to that Charlie Parker quote last, and I want to highlight these different benefits that improvisation can have. Right? Raise your hand if you've ever freestyle rapped before. Anyone here freestyle raps? No? Nobody here has ever freestyle rapped. All right. Has anyone ever done some scat singing before? Raise your hand. Okay, cool, awesome. So those things may feel natural to some people. They may feel very awkward or difficult to others, right? So for example, right, my name is Mr. Shungu, and I'm here to say I love jazz and I play it every day. When I take it back in the day, think of Charlie Parker. Yo, I used to go to a place called Arthur in Illinois. First time was very recently. Yo, I saw these Amish people. I was like, gee, what's going on? Anyway, I don't know where I'm going. Why not just keep flowing? My throat keeps growing. There we go, right? So that is, thank you, right? So that is a way, improvisation is a way to get over your fears, right? When I was in high school, like you, I would not have been able to do that for two reasons. One, I hadn't built up the skills, right? I hadn't built up the abilities to be able to rap like that. But number two, I had to overcome my fear, right? And so as we continue to grow in this jazz band, we're gonna think about how to overcome those fears, how to be better improvisers, how to lean into the places where maybe we're having a little bit more trouble. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this last quote. Jeff, thank you for reading that other one. When you gain the confidence to improvise, that confidence can feed into other areas of your life as well, right? So when you're able to improvise, maybe you become a little bit better public speaker. I used to hate public speaking. Now I'm a teacher, right? So I have to public speak all the time. Maybe you have a little more confidence to dive off of that diving board. I'm afraid. Anyone here afraid of heights? I'm afraid of heights. I will admit that. And yeah, sometimes having confidence in one area can give you more confidence in another area. So let's go back to this Charlie Parker quote. Now I want one of you to read this one because I want to really focus on this one. Can I have a volunteer? All right, thank you.
You got to learn your instrument, then you practice. And then when you finally get up there on the bandstand, forget all that and just win.
All right, that's one of my favorite quotes when it comes to jazz, right? Because both of those things are critical, right? There's no substitute for practicing. And that's something that we're gonna focus on a lot in this group. We gotta practice. And then when you get up there, you gotta come from the heart, right? It connects to that idea that improvisation comes from the head and from the heart. So what I want to do now is first of all, we're just gonna play. You're gonna play whatever you feel, and we're all gonna play together at the same time. Sometimes when we all play together at the same time, it might be a little bit more of a safe space, right? You're not on the spot, right? This isn't all about Jeff. Someone else is playing something else. But I want us to just think about dynamics, because when we improvise, a lot of times we see that quote from Charlie Parker, right? Just wail, right? Just wail. We think that when we improvise, we're the center of attention. We gotta play the most notes. We gotta play the loudest notes. We gotta play the highest notes. We gotta play the craziest drum fill, right? But improvisation is also about contrast, about expressing ourselves. So what I'm going to do is when I give you the two-handed downbeat, I want you to just wail. Just play as loud as you can, whatever you feel. When I give you the one-handed downbeat, I want you to play very softly, all right? But I want everyone to keep playing, all right? And we are just going to play, right? Whatever you're feeling right now, it's going to sound a little bit dissonant, and that's okay. But I want us to just get out there what we're feeling right now. Okay, ready? Here you go. Can we play a little bit of a blues progression? Do we know blues progression over there? You want to try it out? All right. Yeah? What do you think? Yeah. Okay. We'll keep.
Let's do G.
G. All right. We're gonna do some G blues. All right. G blues, And all right, you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, here we go. All right, give them a round of applause. I put you all on the spot, and you were improvising in a way. When we think about improvisation, right? There are different levels of improvisation, right? There's improvisation in terms of just coming up with a solo, and a lot of times that's what we think about when we improvise, right? But there's also improvisation in terms of just not playing something that's written on a sheet. Sometimes we get so connected to the sheet that it's hard for us to adapt. You all did a good job with that. Nice. And what do you all think when you heard me improvising and them playing together? What thoughts do you have?
Smooth like butter.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that can be fun about improvising is when you practice and you practice and you practice, you know, like I practiced that lick in a few different keys, right? And it's, you know, it's something you can just incorporate into your music, right? Sometimes the more you practice, the more you have a toolbox that you can build on. Any of you want to try, we'll keep that group in. Anyone want to try just kind of improvising what they're doing? Get a little warm up.
Sure.
All right, excellent. And your name is?
Ryan.
Ryan, all right. All right, so we're gonna have Ryan, we're gonna put Ryan on the spot today. Future days, we're gonna have other people try it out, all right? So Ryan, you are up. Let's go back to our G blues. And then Ryan, you can go ahead. So 1, 2, when we hear folks improvise, one thing I want to emphasize is that we get so caught up sometimes in this idea of right notes and wrong notes, right? And that sounded good, right? Sounded good. But a lot of times we get so afraid of this idea of right notes and wrong notes that it holds us back from expressing ourselves. And I think that Ryan did a good job, and just you could feel that expression of what he was feeling and what he was playing, right? And that's kind of what we want to think about, is that getting over that fear and that idea that if we play a wrong note, everyone's gonna judge us, right? That's how I felt. You know, when I first started improvising, I was like, yeah, if I play something wrong, like someone's gonna judge me or like someone's gonna boo me, right? But this is an environment where you belong, right? You belong here. I'm going to make sure that I support you, and I want you all to support each other. When you all give a round of applause to the rhythm section for Ryan, that's what I want to see in this band. All right, so good job, good job. Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to our next guest conductor. So thank you all for the introduction.
We're gonna start with Robin. Yeah, it's all you, Eddie. Sorry. All right, let's just start with the read through. Any questions on your parts before we start? All right. One, two, let's take it back. Nice reading, everyone. This is a crazy chart. A lot of stuff going on. Can we take it back to E? Let's go back to E. E. Trumpets and tenor one, you come in on the end one here. Here we go. The melody. A 1, a 2, everyone at E. Yeah, there's a little piano part there. All right. Yeah, B3. Nice, nice. All right. Yeah, this is a very busy, right? There's a lot of stuff going on throughout the whole chart. Not really a whole lot of extended periods where you have a lot of rest. Can we take it back kind of near the end? Let's just take it back to E for a second. Just a general rule, if you have half notes or whole notes, can you back down like 25%? So we can hear some of the more interesting lines going on, eighth notes, triplets, all that. It's kind of marked that way, but exaggerated. All right, let's have it really come through. At E, here we go, E. At this point, I think we all kind of have an idea of what the melody is. So if you have that, bring it out. If you don't, just blend it. Here we go. E. A 1, a 2, a E, 2, measure 104, 105. We have kind of these different things going on. Can I hear trombone and bass? Actually, no, trombone, bass, and bari. Let's hear you right at 104. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. You pushed there a little more crescendo. That was great, though. Nice articulation of this one, right? That accent. Everybody else is hearing no drums, though. No drums. A 1, 104, coming in on the end of 1. A 1, 2, ready, go. Good. No bass, bari, trombone. Everyone else, 104. A 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Much better. Check it out. Can we sing that rhythm? On a da. A 1, 2, sing and go. Da 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 da. Again, like 100% louder. A 1, 2, ready, go. Da 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 da. Good. Everybody who has that, play it. A 1, 2, ready, go. Good. There's one note where we're not agreeing on. Anyone know which one that is? The tied one, yeah, and kind of the tied one, and then the one right after, we're not quite agreeing on where that comes in. Where does that note come in? The one after the tie, the and of? Yeah, let's try it again. A 1, a 2, a play it, ready, go. That's better. Can we add Barry trombone bass? A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, now we kind of got this back and forth thing going. That's great. Add drums. Shane's gonna help us lock it in and set all those up. A 1, a 2, a 1, a 4, ready, go. Yeah, good, perfect, Al. That was great. Let's start there and keep going. A 1, a 2, crescendo through it, ready, go. Much better in terms of the balance. We're able to kind of hear the melody a lot cleaner there. Nice. Let's go back to the beginning of the chart. Feel free to chime in anytime. Let's go back to the beginning. Who starts with the melody measure 3? Yeah. Nice and proud. There you go. Who has the melody measure 7? Yeah, trumpets do. And what about measure 11? Yeah, we got it there. Trombone section. There you go. So just keep that in mind. These first kind of 12, 13 bars-ish, it's passing around the melody about every 4 bars, all right? So once you play your part saxes, well, you rest. But if you have background stuff like trumpets, you start out with those hits, nice and chill, and then once you have the melody, bring it out a little. Great. Everybody from the beginning. 1, a 2, a 1, a 2, ready. Great. All right, that's all I got for now.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I think, number one, I think you did a good job of pinpointing the parts where, they needed some work. And especially going back to E, I could tell that that was like, the point when everything kind of fell off the tracks. I also just like in terms of your style, I think I like that you smile a lot, and I think little things like that matter, right? You want to look like you're enjoying what you're doing because then everyone's going to enjoy it more. I think that in terms of like the words that we use around different parts, one thing is I noticed you said, certain instruments need to lower the volume because the other part's more interesting. And you're right, but I think also then the person who hears that their part isn't interesting might not just lower the volume, but also kind of like check out, So I think we want to just think about, just little language like that people can kind of interpret differently. But I think that, I also loved how you had the group, identify who has a melody at certain times, because I think that really not only helps to think about your own part, but helps to think about the interplay between the different sections. But yeah, no, I think overall, you did a really good job. Solid job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, good job, Ellie.
How many people are most people playing the primary instrument, or anyone who plays secondary instrument? Y'all sound good. I notice, you are playing primary. Sounds good. I dig it.
Who's next? Let me check real quick. Do you know you're next?
I think.
Jeff, you got it. What are you doing? The mooch.
I will not.
Oh, it's the solar.
Before we begin, I just want to cover solos and everything really quick. Let me see. So it looks like we have a solo right at 45. Tenor one, maybe. It's here. Let's do it as a class really quick, as a whole thing. Everybody, the blues scale is, well, we're in the key of E flat, transposing instrument B flat, F, so on and so forth. So you have 1, flat 3, 4, sharp 4. This is a bad place to write it. 5, flat 7, back to the 1, which is the octave. Can we play this formula over E flat, our E flat, which is the key signature of the tune? Yeah. All right. So I'll just working quarter note by quarter. I'll play with you guys. Ready? Starting E flat. Ready? Using just those few notes, you can create a killer solo over this tune, and especially with it's kind of, it says Latin, it's not really Latin. Latin's such a general term. So is anybody wanted? I'm opening it up to anybody right at 40. Let's see, I think it was 45. Anybody want to take a solo there, just using those few notes? Want to give it a try?
There's notes in there.
No,
I don't know where this is.
Do you want to take a picture of text report?
Yeah.
Can we all give it a try?
At where?
45.
I'm sure.
Awesome.
Sure.
No. And then we have another. And then we have a trombone solo at 73.
No, he ain't so hard, man.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna flip the coin if you're not gonna decide.
Someone else can see, man.
Or someone else, anyone in the band. Right at 73.
Actually,
Alright. 2 soloists, fantastic. Alright, Haley at 45, Carlos at 73. And one last thing right before we get off, let's take a look at that roadmap. Just going through. I'm trying to see where it is here. Sometimes it's having a hard time in electronic score. We see at, where is it? Yeah, 2 bars of 3/4 at 107, 108, and that will get us back to the top at, where is it? The very top at 9. Right? And then from 9, we take the DS or Dakota to Dakota with all the triples. All right? Any questions?
Straight
Concerns?
A the whole time?
Straight A the whole time. Emily, really just give it your all. You got it. You got it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Nice reading, guys. It was very, very awesome. Really grooving. I like the solo. Bravo for solo. All right. Let's break it down from the top. All right. Let's start right at 9. Who has the melody? Brett. Yep. All right. Let's play all together. Yep, I just melody there. Yeah. All right. Rhythm section 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. How would you describe the melody? What adjective would you put on it? Right now, it's a little, just saying a little heavy. What adjective would you put on the melody? Jeff, what do you think? You look a little like you're thinking. The cogs are working.
I'm thinking, but I haven't quite arrived at an answer yet.
Anybody, this actually goes for anybody. What do you guys think of that melody? How would you describe it? Very. Yeah, sneaky. I like that too. Well, I really like Carlos's adjective sneaky. So can we kind of push it? Let's make it have a direction, a place to go. All right. Let's go from 9 and keep going on to 25 backgrounds. There too. When it comes to 17. All right. 1. Right from 9. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 17. Do we hear who has backgrounds in there? Yup. Yeah, bring it out a little bit more. Bring it out a little bit more. Although the melody is really sneaky and kind of groovy, you can still bring that out and you're just a little intersection. What I like to think about this section a little bit more is like, think of it as like New York. You know, if you're walking through New York, you have all these cars, yeah, right? And you have all these interjections, right? With people talking, you hear all of the conversations happening on the street. So let's hear a little bit more of that conversation. All right. 17. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, hearing each other, the back and forth here. I could really hear each voice. I don't know if you guys noticed, it's brass and then sax, brass and sax, brass and sax. Let's see. Actually, can we just do that section, just winds, so you guys can really hear each other and see how each part fits into each other. It's literally a conversation. You know, imagine you just cut that your buddy after the jam session, like, hey, that was awesome. So like, no, that was really cool too. You did that, and they're like, no, right? Right from 33. Compliment each other. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's take it from.
Yeah, 2 minutes, Jeff.
All right. If you have anything to say, actually.
Yeah, I say keep on going unless you're flowing, and I'll share it. Yeah.
All right. All right, let's do the last section. Let's do 97. Let's go to 97. Let's pay attention to our accents and stuff like that. So, can people tell me what this syllable you guys would use for this? Yeah. I was taught dots. D-A-H-T. How about the rooftop? What do you guys learn? Dit? I learned. When I was in high school, I learned D-O-T. Dots. Like, so it's still nice and fat, like it's not as elongated as the dots, you know? So let's hear a little bit of a difference between those two, all right? Start from 97. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Very awesome. Your dots really full. Can we make, or I should say D-O-T, your rooftops sound really nice and full. Can we make your eighth notes just slightly fatter? Although yes, they're eighth notes. Da 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 da. You know, versus this. All right. One more time. Really give it some body to it. Ready? 1, 2. 1 and 2, 3.
Nice job to you as well. I think one thing that I like is the metaphors and analogies you throw. Like when you mentioned New York City and like kind of like, you know, it really made it more real for me, you know, just thinking about how to play, you know, how to play certain lines. I think that's a real strength that you bring. It's like you can just think of those like comparisons. And maybe it's like improvising. Maybe it's tools that you built up in the past and you can think of them on the fly and really apply them what's going on. I think that's a real strength. I think sometimes you can be a little bit more direct, especially in a song that has a coda.
Yeah.
It's really clear. It seemed like everyone stayed with you, so it worked out. But you know, kind of make sure that you're kind of cueing that coda, cueing that, you know, that moment when we're going back to the DS and everything. And I think as well, you know, I would say that at times I think you could work on just, you know, because I think of things like in the classroom, like number one from like just kind of commanding the room presence. And once you have that, then it's like the music comes together even better. And I think sometimes you could be just a little bit, you know, less soft-spoken. I'm naturally a soft-spoken person, but when I step up on that podium, like my voice changes, like everything about me changes. And I think you could work a little bit more on like kind of just bringing that commanding presence, but not losing that like personal connection that you have with students. That was a real strength. So thank you. Yeah, thank you.
What a wonderful world.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm playing with you guys.
Do you not? Yeah, please.
I'll try my best.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, they don't have parts. Yeah, that'll do it. Well, most people know that. I don't think I should try.
By ear, you know, just jamming with folks. So the first time I'm reading charts in a while, I'm like, yeah, I'll say.
You can check those.
See, I was carved out. Like that. And then da,
There's a 2 and a 4. Yeah, no first or third. Everybody just check their folders real quick and see if you find a trumpet 1 or trumpet 3 part. Thank you.
Yeah, there is a score video on YouTube if you guys like to read it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. In jazz, they like that little thing.
Hey, you guys are, here we go.
Okay. Good morning. Well, actually, good afternoon, friends. This is really stressful, and I'm very sorry y'all don't have cards. But we're gonna make do and try and make some good music. So if you do not know me, I'm Haley. Hello, I'm a sophomore music education major. And today we're gonna play What a Wonderful World. Before we get started though, just want to make sure who all has heard the melody of this piece before? Yes? Yeah? Everybody? Maybe? But to set the mood, like, it's very restful, it's very, like, laid back, and there's definitely a pocket that we want to sit in. So we're really going to listen to our rhythm section friends to feel the pulse and the groove here. If you notice, it's in 12/8, which is a little funky, and we're going to start on beat 4. I'm going to conduct it in 4, just triple it. But I think we can get started and do a run through. Yeah? Are we doing okay? Okay, friends? Yes? Yeah, it's written in the score too, but we're just gonna play the whole thing. Is everybody good? Yeah? So, ready? 1, 2, 3. I would like to go to, we'll start closer to the beginning at like 13, because this is where the counter melody is introduced with the actual melody. And I would like to work a little bit on balance there, because you guys can come out with the melody a little bit more, and the counter melody is, you guys can stay the same, it's just a little bit level wise. That's, yeah, sorry. Let's do this at 13, sorry. So 1, 2, 3. But like when you came out with counter melody people, when you like, because there's a harmony part and then you split off, so that was really well done there. Otherwise, and if you have any comments, feel free, because this is my first time doing anything like this, so. Yeah, I was trying to think, there was one other spot that I wanted to check. I think for the Y. And then.
Yeah, I would say maybe the ending.
Yeah.
You know, there's maybe another spot you wanted to do before the ending as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can just run, what's the last, if you want to do 45 to the end, and I'm gonna try and count that correctly with the Tomatos this time. So thank you for bearing with me. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I just wanted. Yeah. Do we feel better about that? Yeah? Good. I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah, like 5 minutes.
Oh, goodness.
You don't have to use it all, if you wanna check
Yeah,
in, whatever.
Yeah. Sure, yeah, I think the band did a good job of adapting to 12/8, and you introduced it at the beginning, which I think was good. But I might, before jumping into the piece, maybe like do some kind of exercise with 12/8 just to make sure everyone
Okay.
kind of has it down. Because it's just a different way of counting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just making sure that everyone knows, like, you know, just practice playing
Yeah,
4 notes and
okay.
8 notes and make sure that their folks are on with that.
Okay.
And I think, what was I gonna say? In terms of some of your like cueing in different parts, like at the end, for example, a little bit, you know, try to be a little bit more dramatic. So
Okay.
like folks are kind of aware. But I think you have a very you do a really good job of just, I think, making people feel comfortable in this space, which I think is critical, you know, and that's something that you can't teach. Like that's something that you just naturally have. And so I think that just making sure that some of those hits,
Yeah.
you're just a little bit more direct,
Okay.
because that'll just get everyone more locked in.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to hit the piece?
I don't think so. You all did a really good job of
Yeah,
reading through
yeah.
it, so.
honeysuckle rose.
Okay.
I bet you $1.
Just probably.
Alright, everybody. Hi, my name is Shane. I haven't met you. I'm a senior year. I'm the last semester before I go to student teach. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, so has anyone ever heard this song before? It's an old straight edge tune, a few of us. Yeah, it's old tune by Fats Waller, famous piano player, right? I think I'm just gonna want to start off with run through this. It's a straight edge jazz standard big band chart, right? So really punch those notes out, sit in the pocket, different section way down. All right, here we go. Let's go on here. See how this tempo goes. Ready? On, two, on, ready. One more chance at that again. It's a little tricky, right? Now I see big hits right there. So let's really count, subdivide, and yeah, there's a lot of one and right. So really just sit in the pocket and yeah, count. So I do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, good question. Thank you. I'll count that off there. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, some tricky stuff there. Give a round of applause for our soloists in there. Yeah, there's a lot of tricky stuff that we're doing a lot. I'm moving lines, right? Topic notes. Like, I want to jump. Let's see. There's a lot of cool sections here. Yeah, also correlate. Jump to 105. Look at the sax over. We're make sure that we articulate together, right? And especially these like entities phrases, like right? When you hit that tone, really pop those notes. For those accents like this, sax ones, what kind of articulation do you want to know? I'm a drummer. Help me out. What sound do you want to use for that articulation? Which one? That one. All right. Sneeze into your saxophone. What are we thinking? What's dot? All right. So all right. Dot. Right. Okay. Good. Let's make sure when we have those, we're really popping that out. Okay. And then yeah, and we land on especially like corner notes, really make it fat, right? But to end for M1 to end for rest, boom, right? So especially corner notes with that long one. Okay. Right at 105. Here we go. Good job. You're doing good work, especially keeping together like this. 1, 2, 2, ready. Let's really pop that. That's a real cool line right there. Yes. 9, yeah, I can count. Cool. Can we try that measure saxophones right at 109? Just saxophones. I'll stop you when I want you to stop. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, play. Yeah, so right one, right on these 2/8 notes in the E1, right? One more time. 1, 2, really listen, go. Yeah, really bring out those accents one more time. Nice job. So we can go 1, 2, ready, go. All right, one more time. 1, 2, together, ready, Yeah, better, cool. Everybody, 105. Yeah, 105. This is 100. 1, 2, ready. Awesome work, team together. 113, can I hear trumpets and trombones? That's solely right here. Trumpets and trombones. 1, 2, 2, ready, play. Yeah, real quick. I feel like when we start, we're like losing energy from the top, right? So really just push through that. That last note, that tone, really pop that, okay? 1, 2, 3, ready, play. One more time. 1, 2, ready, play. Yeah, awesome. Can we get 113 again? Everybody, 113. And that is like, I'm pretty sure that's like a pretty famous quote that a lot of people throw in their songs. I can't even pinpoint one song that gets in a bunch. So listen to more jazz and hear it, and then you'll develop your vocabulary. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, 118, we have those long notes connected, the half note tied to that quarter note. Really, dynamic wise, push through to the end and grow that, right? So let's start right at 117, we'll keep going. 1, grow that dynamic. 2, 1, 2, ready, play. That stuff really dropped down at the beginning. That like pretty much like forte piano, right? Is that what it's marked at or no? Well, let's make it that. All right, so forte piano for that, okay? So da. That's really cool about the saxophones bringing in mind. The I think that's trombones, trumpets. Yeah. It's gonna create a really cool effect. So can we try that 137? 137. Really pop that out and then drag to the end and then restart that for each one. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2, ready. One, two, ready, play. Can we start at 25, and just go through a little bit more middle section-ish, beginning middle section, right before the solo, the alto solo. 25, yeah. 1, 2, 25. Yeah. Here we go. 25. Everyone got it? All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. We have that, we finished those lines there with the altos, and then the trumpets, trombones come back in at the end of 4 and 32. Can we try, I'm changing kind of bit with articulations. Can we try a dit dot on that? Dit dot. Can we try that? I just want to hear what it sounds like. And if I don't like it, we'll put it back. 31. 1, 2, 3, ready. Right. No? What do you guys want to put instead? What do you guys think would fit better? Sounds good. Okay. So what articulations will we use for that? Those two notes. Dit. All right. Cool. Okay. Let's go with that then. And do another set, not rush. All right. So really sit in the pocket of the pen. Good. Yeah. One last time. 31, and we'll keep going on stuff. That's probably like the last thing we do, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Cool, thank you guys.
Yeah, good job. I think one of your big strengths is dynamics. Like I think you did a really good job with like discussing dynamics with the group. Just like kind of you know, and I think finding opportunities to bring out dynamics in different parts of the song. Because yeah, there's not a lot that's written in this score in terms of dynamics, right? And so it kind of leaves it up to you to decide on some of that. I think that when you know, I really like how you talked about, you know, modifying, you know, certain notes in a way that could actually make it sound better, right? So taking that creative freedom, I think is great. Sometimes with a big band score, we feel like we're just, you know, we're chained to the page, right? And so I like those creative freedoms you're taking. I would say sometimes when you make those suggestions, tell everyone to get out a pencil and like write it in, because the next time they might forget and play the same original way. But yeah, no, I think you did a good job. As well, I like when you sang, you know, certain parts. I think that's definitely something that can help people get the parts and everything. And yeah, I think you know, all of you have different styles, but I feel like all of you are your authentic self in there. And that's a huge part of just, you know, directing a big band, is just being your authentic self, and then finding those ways when you can, you know, communicate certain things. So, thank you.
All right, now we'll do a Q&A session. If you want to,
Yeah.
we'll ask you some questions.
All right. How often do you do the jazz reading, man?
Oh, that's that copy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was trying not to get you down here, so, you
All right, yeah, who has a question?
Yeah. Any question?
Can you just start by sharing a little bit kind of about your background, kind of what led you here?
Yeah, well, let me hear, absolutely. So I started playing the trumpet in 5th grade, and so I've been playing for over 30 years now. Gray hair gives away my age a little bit more. Yeah, my background is more on the education side of things, and then as a professional, as you know, I'm also a professional musician. So I feel like I've kind of combined those things. And I mean, even, you know, when I was conducting, I never took a class in college on conducting. So that's an area of growth for me, right? But I think the combination of, you know, just my really deep knowledge of jazz, as well as, you know, my educational background, I'm constantly looking at how are students receiving information and how can we connect authentically with students. So I taught music, ESL, and bilingual education, bilingual history courses at Central High School prior to coming here. So I speak Spanish and I also speak French. And so use those languages in the classroom with Guatemalan students, with Congolese students. And one of the most cool experiences at Central High School was, you know, I was assisting the band teachers in the music classroom. So I was working with John and Jen Curry over at Central High School. And, you know, I would kind of sit with students who were just learning English and were having trouble figuring out what the, you know, not only reading music, but also figuring out what the teacher was saying, like working directly with those students. So one of the courses I teach here at the U of I is focused on how to teach music to multilingual learners or English language learners. In addition, I'm a hip hop MC, so you heard me freestyle earlier, and I kind of bring, you know, those dual identities, right? So for me, like jazz and hip hop are just inextricably linked. You know, I think about Roy Hargrove and, you know, people of that nature, but I feel like they go together. A lot of times you see them as very separate, but the reality is a lot of our students are going to be listening to hip hop. And so I think, you know, kind of thinking about the ways that those are connected can be powerful. You know, you're going to have some students in class who hate hip hop and are all about jazz, right? When I ask you, like, what's your favorite style of music? and probably some students who are like really into hip hop, and jazz is just something they do because their friends also playing in the group, right? So thinking about how we engage all different types of students. In terms of just more about my own backgrounds, I went to college at Tufts University in the Boston area, and so I didn't major in music, but I focused a lot in music in terms of what I was doing. My senior year, our jazz band actually got to go to Cuba and open for some Cuban band down there, and that was incredible. So I've had some, kind of amazing musical experiences. I also studied in Paris, was able to play some jazz clubs in Paris, and so those experiences have definitely shaped who I am as a musician as well. Have any of you had the opportunity to play any music in any other countries or anything? Yeah.
Over the summer, it was orchestra, not jazz, but I went to Germany, Austria, and the Czech Republic.
Awesome. Nice. That's cool. Yes.
The marching band last year to Ireland, we got to pick parade.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like if you have that opportunity, not only is it incredible to have that opportunity, but I think it can make you, a better musician, a better music educator. It really, kind of affected me in that way. I think that, the other course that I'm currently teaching is a service learning course. So basically focused on getting students out into the community, and not only working with schools, but also working with community organizations. And that's a big part of my background as well. I've done extensive work with youth kind of outside of the classroom, both teaching trumpet, teaching music, also teaching hip hop. And so kind of having those experiences has also shaped who I am, as an educator and as a musician. And so I think that coming here to the U of I feel like was a culmination of all of those different things, and so I think that it's really, one thing I feel passionately about is that one style of music is not better than another. And I feel like a lot of times people can get siloed and they're like, I'm a jazz person, and like everything else is whack. Or like, I focus on, 17th century classical composers, and everything outside of that is, it's not worth my time. And I think that's one thing that I'm excited to bring to the School of Music is that idea that like, I love jazz. And so I feel like I'm with my people right now, but I also want to make sure that we're like at the School of Music, finding ways to build those bridges with other styles of music. And especially those of you who are music educators, it's going to be critical that you have kind of that open mind going into what you're doing as a teacher. Because you might be someone who loves jazz and you're like, I just want to go to this high school and just teach jazz all the time. But there may be other, other ensembles, other opportunities that arise. And so just being open to that. One more thing I would say is that definitely I'm someone who I feel like our identities really connect to thinking about, not only musical identities, but also race, gender, sexual orientation. And I think, as educators, it's important for us to not kind of shy away from the realities that those things bring to the classroom. Make sure that we're, striving to make our classroom a safe space for all students. And also that we're thinking about, if we're directing a band at a school where 40% of the students are Black and there's no Black students in the band, like, how do we change that dynamic, right? How do we think about who's represented and who's not represented in those spaces? So that's kind of both the story of my own personal history, but also kind of my philosophy on music and what brings me here. But yeah, what other questions?
I feel like when you're warming up a concert band, you got like your tuning notes, you got like your little Bach chorales.
Mhm.
What are some ways you would warm up a jazz band to get the rehearsal going?
Yeah, I think definitely, I like this example right here. Coming up with those like jazz scale, coming up with the 1 flat 3 4, sharp 4 5, flat 7 1. That's a good one. I would say rhythm is critical to jazz. So like kind of getting people into the mindset of like a swing rhythm. So even if it's just singing like ba, ba, da, ba, da, kind of the dotted quarter eighth note, that dynamic is something that a lot of people who are coming into jazz. And when you're directing a jazz band, you might have, just like in any class, you might have people who are jazz experts, and you might have people who are just learning what swing means for the first time. So I think those are some good exercises. I'd love to hear from you all as well, because I think some of you might have some good suggestions in addition to kind of what we saw here. What else would you do to help a jazz band warm up?
In my high school, we had a binder of just like pop tunes that were converted for a jazz band that were like swung then in the music, and so we would like pick something out the binder and like play through that as a group, and it was always like the same music, so it was never like, cite me this. So that was nice.
Yeah, I like that, and it connects to what I was talking about earlier about incorporating different styles of music. You heard me quote BTS earlier, right? And so I think finding ways to bring in other styles of music that people don't necessarily connect to jazz can be good as well. But I think, in addition, I didn't dive into the, tuning notes and all that. It's a good idea to tune the bands, even if it's a jazz, it's a good idea to tune the band before you dive in. I was just like, I just want to make sure that I cover what I wanted to cover. But it's not like complete, sometimes we think of jazz and classical as completely different worlds, right? And you have to do this with classical, you have to do this with jazz, but there is some overlap, right? So making sure that, that you're playing in tune. But in addition, coming up, with some of those jazz licks and then connecting it to other styles of music, those can be effective ways to get people fired up. Right? Yeah, what up?
On like the ESL stuff and bilingual teaching, I don't know, I guess I'm specifically probably gonna teach in the CPS schools, and there's a lot of bilingual speakers or Spanish speaking people, and I have like a little bit of background in Spanish, but I really wanted to get my ESL endorsement, but you can't physically fit it in with the schedule as a music educator, so how would you, like, what are some things you would recommend for me to be prepared to enter that environment?
That's a great question. And what year are you?
I'm a sophomore.
Okay. So one piece of good news is that the course that's focused on teaching English language learners, as of this year, has become a required course. And you're a music education major, yeah. So it's become a required course for music education majors. It's kind of like a mini course. So there's 2 sections to it. And so currently, Dr. Gallo teaches an 8-week section that's focused on neuro and physically divergent students. And they actually, this semester, they went to Stratton Elementary School in Champaign and were able to work with students in their functional life skills program, which is a program for students who are classified as special ed, which is a term that they use at that particular school, but different schools use different terms. And so that's half the course, and the other half of the course is focused on teaching multilingual learners. And so this year we went to Central High School, and we actually observed students not in a music classroom, but just kind of to learn more about those students. In the future, we may go to like a music classroom as well. We're thinking about how we're going to kind of modify that course to give you the most valuable experiences. But I think that that 8-week course kind of is like a mini version of a couple of those initial courses you would take if you were getting an ESL endorsement. So that's one good thing, is that many schools of music don't have that. And I think that'll give you basics. I think that in addition, if you have opportunities to learn more Spanish, that's to your advantage. But I would definitely emphasize that you don't have to share a language with the student to find ways to sort of connect with them, and also to give them effective instruction that incorporates kind of the fact that they're an English language learner. I would say in addition to that, definitely once you're in a teaching position, you can always continue to grow in that area. So there might be opportunities to get an ESL endorsement while you're teaching. That could definitely work to your advantage as well. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right that given the requirements for a music ed major, it's not possible to kind of get that ESL endorsement concurrently. But I think it's great that you're interested in that. And I think that, that I would also encourage you to see if you can find other opportunities to kind of just observe students in different arenas and have that experience. Another course that I'm teaching, I think I mentioned earlier, I'm teaching a service learning course. And so with that course, there's some flexibility for students to kind of figure out, what is it that you want to do? You could say, for my service learning project, I'm going to go to, Leo Elementary School in Urbana. That's, bilingual elementary school, and kind of work with students over there. But yeah, no, great question. And I think it's great that that's an area that you're interested in, also important if you're, if you're thinking of teaching at CPS. So. Other questions? No. Well, thank you all for letting me connect with you. I feel like You know, I mentioned earlier to a couple folks, this is my first time in the band building. I'm a little ashamed about that. But I definitely will be back more frequently. And I really dug the opportunity to play a little trumpet with you all as well, because I have my own band that's actually kind of like a combination of jazz, hip hop, and soul. It's called Afro-Being Global Sound Waves. And so I rhyme with the band and also play trumpet. But this is the first time I've read big band charts in a little bit, so it was fun to get back into that because it's something that I love to do, but something that I've kind of gotten away from. And you know, I'm sure some of you have that same experience, right? That you know, some of you probably haven't played big band charts in a little bit too. So, but yeah, feel free. You know, any of you can feel free to send me an email. You know, if you want to just, my office is MB3002 over in the music building. So I'm definitely someone who I just enjoy building with students, learning more about you. You know, and if you're currently in music education or if you're thinking about switching to music education, you know, I'm a really good person to talk to kind of about just the dynamics of that and the opportunities that present themselves through being a music teacher. So.
Well, thank you so
All
much.
right, yeah.
All right, that is all. Just one quick announcement, we do have our first professional development event of the semester, next Sunday in the music building. We have a variety of band directors throughout the state coming to be a part of programming for the winter, so that's.
Or.
Yeah, it'll be live stream. Yeah. We also have stickers and shirts for sale, so if anyone wants that. Yeah, I got stickers.
Are you guys serious? Okay, how much are they?
$1 each.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Oh, you did very fast. Oh, perfect.
It's up to you. If you like it, would you? Okay. Yeah, that's a story. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Bye, everyone. And